Hey guys, tonight we're not talking about golden thrones or peaceful starry skies. We're stepping into the jungle, into the shadowed temples of the ancient Maya, where kings bled willingly, and the stars were more than just lights in the sky. They were calendars, gods, warnings, promises. You might think royalty had it easy, robes rich as servants. But tonight, you'll learn the strange truth. To rule among the Maya, you had to bleed for the heavens, watch the night sky like it held your soul, and give yourself piece by piece to powers you could barely understand. And trust me, by the end of this slow journey, you'll never look at a constellation the same way again, or a drop of blood. So before we begin, let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from and what time it is for you. It's always a quiet joy to see this sleepy little community stretch across the globe. And if you like these long, drifting, slightly strange tales from the past, feel free to like or subscribe. No pressure, of course, just if it feels right. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a soft fan, or light a candle. Let your shoulders relax, let your thoughts slow down. You're not a ruler tonight, you're a listener. And that's safer, because in the world of the Maya, the stars were always watching. Let's begin. Section 1, The Throne and the Thorn. Imagine you are 16, and your hands are not holding a phone or a pen. They are cupped, trembling beneath your chin to catch the blood dripping from your tongue. Not because you're hurt, but because you're a king now. And that's what Maya kings do. You kneel on woven rush mats inside a temple carved with jaguar heads and curling vines. The jungle presses in from every side, hot, breathing alive. Torches crackle. Incense burns like old honey. Your priests chant behind you, their voices low and rhythmless like a heartbeat underwater. You feel the flint in your mouth. It's small, sharp, polished with ash and obsidian. It's tied to a thin thread made of maguey thorns and stingray spines, and you've already dragged it through your tongue once. Once is not enough, because this is not just a ritual. It's an opening, a door. To wear the crown, you have to give something first, and what the gods want isn't gold. They want you. Your blood warm, sacred, and full of memory. Blood remembers your ancestors. Blood carries the voice of your father and your father's father and the first king who ever pulled stars down into a calendar. So you take a breath, slow, shaky, and pull the thorn again. Your mouth blooms with pain. But it's not just pain, it's lightheadedness clarity. Your heartbeat thunders in your ears loud as drums. Your knees buckle slightly, but you don't fall. Because this is what they all did. Every king before you, even the great Sky Lord himself, who according to the Populva was born from corn and bone and opened the sky with his own blade. You do not scream. Instead, you spit a ribbon of blood onto bark paper. The priests catch it, fold it, and place it into the bowl of incense beside you. It sizzles quietly, smoke curling like a snake. This is how you speak to the gods, and above you, the stars are already listening. Outside in the clearing, hundreds, maybe thousands wait in the dark. They cannot see you bleed. That is reserved for the inner sanctum. But they know, because a hush has fallen over the jungle. Even the birds have stopped calling. The people wear white. Their faces are painted in celestial blues and dusty reds. They have walked for days to witness the rising of the new Ahau, the new sacred king. And even if they do not understand astronomy, even if they cannot read glyphs carved in limestone, they know that tonight is special. Because tonight, the stars are aligned. Venus has appeared on the eastern horizon, glowing like a pale god's eye. The calendar turns over. The old king has died. The gods are waiting. And you, mouth full of blood, soul full of stars, are their offering. Later, after the ceremony, when the pain dulls and your tongue swells into a clumsy lump, you are allowed to sit on the throne for the first time. It's cold, made of stone, inlaid with jade carved with serpents and constellations. You sit still, lightheaded, while incense curls from the braziers and the crowd chants your name, or rather, your new name, the one chosen by the high priest timed with the stars, aligned with your birth glyph. You are not yourself anymore. You are Skyfire Jaguar, or Lord Nine Wind, or He Who Opens the Gates. Names that are not yours, but now somehow are. Because that's what Maya kings do. They give their blood to become something more. They become the thread between sky and soil, between ancestors and stars, between gods and people. And the pain, well, it never quite goes away, but neither does the crown. Section 2. Blood and Beginnings. Close your eyes. Now imagine the world not as it is, but as it was before it became a world at all. No sky, no ground, only water, still, endless. A vast, silent sea, without wind or sound. This is how the Maya imagined the beginning. And in that beginning, the gods gathered. They did not wear crowns or armor. They were not kind or cruel. They were creators, thoughtful, careful, strange. They made people out of mud. But the mud men crumbled. They made people out of wood. But the woodmen had no souls. They tried again and again, crafting, shaping, whispering life into their creations. But it wasn't until they mixed blood into the maze that everything changed. Because blood, the gods realized, is memory. Blood remembers. It flows with songs and secrets. It carries the voices of ancestors and the heat of the earth. It nourishes and binds and speaks. So the gods cut themselves. They bled into the maize dough. And from that mixture, blood and corn, they created humans who could dream. And with dreaming came stories. And with stories came time. And with time came the calendar. In the temples of the Maya, the calendar wasn't just a tool. It was alive. It breathed through the bark books, the codices filled with looping glyphs and dots and lines. Each day had a name, a face, a personality. Each number echoed a god's footstep. You weren't born on a date. You were born into a role. Were you born on 8 Chikshan? Then your soul was part serpent. Hungry, electric, destined to speak. Born on 3K Han, then wealth would cling to you for better or worse. Every king knew the moment of his birth, down to the shadow on the temple wall. Because it mattered. You weren't just ruling people. You were holding time in your hands. But time, like blood, must flow. And to keep it flowing, the Maya believed someone had to feed it. Not with gold, not with words, but with offerings. And the most powerful offering you already know. It was blood. Not just any blood, but sacred blood. The blood of kings, the blood of queens, the blood that remembered everything. So when a king pierced his tongue, or a queen drew blood from her palms or thighs or lips, it wasn't just for pain. It wasn't theater. It was renewal. It was giving back to the gods what the gods once gave, the very breath of creation. Now picture this. A full moon rises over the temple of Palenque. The air smells of crushed herbs and wet limestone. Bats flutter near the ceiling. The priests chant slow and steady. And the king, your king, kneels before a bowl of obsidian water. His blood has been caught in paper. The paper has been burned. The smoke curls upward, carrying the essence of sacrifice to the gods. And then, the water in the bowl stirs, not with wind but with vision. From the smoke and the stars, a form appears, long coiled, shimmering. A serpent made of sky. It speaks no words, but the king understands. He will live another year. The gods are satisfied. Time will move forward. The calendar may continue, and the people may sleep easy for now. The Maya were not afraid of blood. They were afraid of forgetting, afraid that if they did not feed time, it would stall. The sun would stop rising, the rain would stop falling, the crops would wither. And so the kings bled, willingly, again and again. Because they remembered. Because you remember. Even now, lying in your quiet room thousands of years later, something in your blood still hears the old rhythm. Still beats to a calendar you don't quite understand. And that's okay. Tonight you're not here to understand. You're here to drift, to listen, to let the old world whisper across the dark. The gods are still watching. But they are quieter now. They've had their fill. So you can rest. Just breathe. Time will carry you. Section 3. Counting the stars. You lie on a stone bench, flat and cool beneath your back. Overhead, the night sky unfolds like a codex, dark, endless, and full of tiny stories written in light. A priest kneels beside you. He is silent, watching the stars, as if they might blink first. You are 10 years old, a prince, and this is your first astronomy lesson. But there are no scrolls, no numbers, just sky, just waiting. The Maya didn't look at stars, the way we do as decoration, as distant fireflies. To them, the sky was a calendar. And the stars were keepers of time. They rose and fell in patterns that mirrored everything: birth and death, drought and rain, war and peace. Each flicker meant something, each movement a whisper from the gods. To be king, you had to read the sky like scripture, and you began by counting. Above you, the priest points, not with a finger, but with a carved bone rod. He does not speak, not yet. He waits until your eyes adjust, until you stop seeing stars as stars and begin to notice their motion. That one, it's not staying still. Venus. You see it now low on the eastern horizon, glowing like a watchful eye. It doesn't twinkle, it stares. Venus, the evening star. Venus, the morning star. Venus, the war god's lantern. It appears before battles. It disappears before drought. It keeps time, not just in days, but in cycles. The priest speaks, at last. His voice is rough, like stone against stone. Venus rises every 584 days, he says. It disappears for 90. He does not explain why. He does not need to. What matters is when. Because in 5 cycles of Venus, exactly 920 days, the calendar resets. And on that day, something must happen. A feast, a sacrifice, a war. The stars do not suggest. They demand. The Maya tracked more than Venus. They watched Mars and Mercury. They followed the moon. They measured the equinoxes and solstices, marking them with shadows that fell perfectly through temple doors only once a year. At Chichen Itza, the Great Pyramid is silent until the spring. Then, just once, the sun strikes its side at just the right angle, and a shadow serpent slithers down the staircase, scale by scale, until it kisses the stone head at the base. It's not a trick. It's a promise, a sign that the calendar still works, that the gods are still aligned, that time has not stopped. You shift on the stone bench. Your neck aches, but you don't look away, because the priest is still watching you. And tonight you must prove you are more than a child. You must prove you are made for sky. So you begin to count. 1, 2, 3 bright stars near the horizon. You don't know their names yet, but they have a rhythm. And as the hours pass, they move. Just a little, but enough. The priest nods once, and you feel the thrill of it, not pride exactly, but recognition. You are learning. You are listening. Years later, you will sit on a throne beneath that same sky, and your astronomers now, your servants, will bring you bark books and obsidian bowls. They will tell you when to marry, when to build, when to offer your blood. But tonight, you are just a boy counting stars, and the stars are just beginning to speak. The Maya had not one calendar, but many. There was the Tzolk'in, 260 days long. There was the Hab, 365 days. Together they formed the calendar, round a great looping cycle that repeated every 52 years, and beyond that, the long count, the vast measure of cosmic time. Thousands of years counted in silent glyphs carved into stone. It was the long count that ended in 2012 or so, we thought. In truth, it was not an end. It was a turn of the wheel, one cycle closing another opening, because time in the Maya world is not a line. It's a spiral, always moving, always returning. And so the Maya kings watched the sky, not just to see, but to remember. Each sunrise echoed the first. Each eclipse reminded them of sacrifice. Each star was a footstep from long ago, a god walking through the dark. You blink, and the stars above you seem to shift, just slightly, like a page turning. The priest places a hand on your shoulder. "Enough for tonight," he murmurs. And you rise slow and careful. Your legs are stiff, but your head is full, not of answers, but of rhythms. You will return tomorrow, and the night after, and the night after that, because time does not stop, and neither does learning. The stars are counting, and now you are counting too. Section 4. The Sacred Calendar. You wake with the sun, not because someone calls you, but because the calendar says you must. Today is 7 Kekan in the Tzolk'in cycle, a day of richness and fertility. And if you were to marry, this would be the day. If you were to bleed for the gods, this would also be the day. In the Maya world, everything has its moment, not chosen, but assigned. The calendar doesn't hang on the wall. It's not paper, not digital, not something you flip. It's alive, etched into stone, whispered by priests, drawn onto pages of deer-hide bark, folded like an accordion. There are two main calendars. The Maya followed two rhythms, woven like threads in a loom. The Tzolk'in Sacred and Strange counts 260 days. It runs through 20-day names and 13 numbers, endlessly combining and recombining, so that no 2 days feel quite the same. And then there's the Hab, the solar calendar. 365 days, just like ours. But not quite. It has 18 months of 20 days, and one final period called Wayeb, 5 unnamed dangerous days at the end of the year when the world feels thin and uncertain. People stayed inside during Wayeb. They didn't cut their hair. They didn't cook, because anything might slip through. Even the gods. Together, the Tzolk'in and Hab created the calendar. Round a full cycle of 18,980 days, or 52 solar years. Only once in your lifetime would the same combination of sacred and solar days return. It was a time of renewal, of risk, of candles lit in temples, just in case the gods needed light to find their way back. And if they didn't, well, that's why kings bled, to remind the gods that someone still remembered. You walk through the palace garden. The air smells of wet stone and crushed leaves. Birds sing their calls rhythmic like numbers. A priest approaches you, holding a folded codex. He doesn't smile. This is not a social visit. He opens the book slowly. Your seed-planting ceremony, he says, pointing to a glyph shaped like a jawbone and stars. It must occur on Tu Muluk. You blink. That's in 4 weeks. Yes, he nods. And only then. You don't argue, because even kings do not argue with time. Everything in Maya life moved by the calendar crops. Wars, feasts, births, marriages, deaths. You could not name your child without knowing their day sign, because the day carried destiny. Born on a day of wind, you would speak well, maybe too well. Born on a jaguar day, you might be brave, or dangerous. Born on a death day, you might be destined to speak to the underworld. The calendar didn't predict, it described. It told you what the gods whispered the moment you arrived. In the Temple of the Cross in Palenque, stone carvings show kings with outstretched hands offering not gold or incense, but dates. They speak aloud the day of a coronation, the day of an eclipse, the day of a bloodletting, as if the day itself were the offering. Some days were so powerful, so soaked in story, they could not be ignored. An eclipse day might demand silence. A Venus rising might demand war. A drought paired with a bad day sign that meant blood. Not just from prisoners, but from the ruler himself. You see, in the Maya world, kings weren't above the calendar. They were bound to it, because only through their blood could sacred time continue to turn. You sit inside your chamber. The walls are painted with red ochre and black glyphs. A bowl of water reflects the afternoon sky. Tomorrow is a Jah, a Lord's Day. A day for judgment. You will have to decide whether to open a new well, to plant new crops, to bless a warrior's sword. And you will decide nothing alone. The priest will read the codex. The astronomer will check the stars. The calendar will speak. And you, king, though you are, will listen. Time for the Maya was not a path you walked down. It was a place you stood inside. Past and future wrapped around you like vines in the jungle. And if you listened closely, you could almost hear time breathe. You could almost hear the gods turn the page. So tonight, as the stars blink back into the sky, and the wind hushes through the trees, you curl up beneath a woven mat. Tomorrow is Nine Asai, Ik, a day of wind. A day for decisions. You will wake before dawn. You will bathe in cool water. You will press your hands to stone and whisper your name to the gods in case they've forgotten. And you will wait, because that's what the calendar teaches. Patience, precision, the poetry of exactness, and the slow, sacred rhythm of time. Section 5. Gifting the Sky. You are standing on the highest platform in the city. The jungle spreads around you like a sea of breathing green. The air is thick, still. Even the birds are silent. In your hand is a blade obsidian curved blacker than night, and at your feet incense curls from a clay bowl hissing like a snake just woken. You take a deep breath. It is time to give the sky your gift. In the world of the Maya, sacrifice wasn't punishment. It wasn't cruelty. It was offering, a conversation, a transaction. The gods gave you sun, rain, maize, life itself. And in return, they expected something back. Not gold, not words, not even prayer. They wanted blood. The blood of a king was not ordinary. It pulsed with memory, with story, with the echo of ancestors. It was like a song, and the gods were always listening. So when you cut, when the obsidian kisses your skin, and the first drop rises, you are not just bleeding. You are speaking. The ceremony is ancient. A mat is laid. The drums begin low, slow, steady. Priests gather around you, chanting in the old tongue syllables, shaped like birdsong and thunder. You kneel. A stingray spine is placed in your hand, or a shard of bone, or a needle carved from jaguar tooth. You choose the place, the tongue, the ear, the thigh, or, for only the bravest, the organ of life. This is not brutality. This is bravery. To cut yourself open to offer what no one can demand, this is the highest act of kingship. Your blood falls onto paper made from fig tree bark. It is folded carefully, tenderly, like a love letter. Then placed into a bowl of glowing coals. The paper ignites. The blood crackles. Smoke rises thick, white shimmering. You watch it rise slow and twisting, as if the gods are inhaling your gift. And somewhere beyond the clouds, they nod. The sky accepts. The Maya believed that sacrifice kept the world spinning, that the stars would not move, the sun would not rise, the rain would not fall unless someone reminded the gods, "We are here. We remember." Your gift was not just ritual. It was fuel. Blood was the oil in the cosmic machine. Without it, everything would grind to a halt. Some kings bled monthly. Some bled with the stars. Some bled only once and never woke again. But all bled. And their people watched not with horror, but with awe. Because in giving their blood the kings proved they were more than men. They were bridges, between the ground and the sky, between the past and the now, between people and gods. Sometimes the smoke would twist into shapes, serpents, faces, spirals. Sometimes it would bring visions, the spirit of an ancestor, a god in jaguar skin, a whisper from the underworld. Other times there was nothing, only silence, only stars. But even that meant something, because the gods never forgot a gift, even if they didn't answer right away. You rise slowly, the cut still warm. The priest presses a cloth of cotton and leaves to your skin. You feel dizzy, but not weak. The pain has made the world sharp, each leaf, each bird call, each gust of wind feels louder, closer, truer. And you are still alive, still a king, still the voice of your people. The night falls. The stars emerge, blinking slowly into the velvet sky. And above your head, Venus appears once more, silent, perfect, watching. You look up and wonder if your smoke reached that high, if the gods saw your blood, if they cared. But you already know the answer, because the wind has shifted, the fire burns clean, and somewhere in the jungle, frogs begin to sing. The world is turning again. So you sit quietly wrapped in woven cloth, watching the smoke disappear. And you remember this isn't just a ceremony. This is maintenance. This is gratitude. This is balance. To gift the sky, your blood is not to lose. It is to join. To become part of the rhythm. To step into a story older than stone. Tonight you have given. And tomorrow the sun will rise. And the rains will come. And the gods will remember your name. You are not just bleeding. You are blooming, and the sky is listening. Section 6. Night of the Serpent Vision. The torches have been dimmed. The incense is thick. You can't see the walls anymore, only smoke shadows and the glint of obsidian. You're not alone, but you feel alone. You sit beside your queen, her face calm, her hands steady. You've done this before, but tonight, something feels different. The stars above are hidden. But inside, another kind of sky is beginning to open. This is the Vision Serpent ceremony. It begins with silence, then pain, then transformation. You take the stingray spine again. You've chosen your tongue this time. Your queen, her palm, no screams, just breath. You both draw the thorn. Blood wells slow and warm. It drips onto bark paper, thick with soot and ash. Priests approach without words. They fold the paper, place it on coals, and wait. You wait too. Because the serpent never comes quickly. Smoke rises, sweet at first, resin, myrrh, crushed herbs. Then sharper the scent of burning blood, acrid and sharp like thunder. Your vision blurs, the room ripples, and then, in the smoke, movement. It begins as a shimmer like heat above stone. Then it curls, stretches, coils, a shape forms, long, scaled, breathing without breath. A serpent, huge and glistening, floats above the fire. Its eyes glow like coals. Its mouth does not open, but you hear it speak, not in words, in memory. The Maya believed the vision serpent was a gateway, a messenger. When a king bled, when a queen joined him, when smoke met sky, the serpent would appear, and through its mouth the ancestors could return. You blink slowly. The serpent pulses, and from its jaws, a face. Your grandfather, long dead. He looks young, dressed in jaguar skins, crowned in maize. He does not speak, but his eyes say everything. You are not alone. You are chosen. You are watched. Beside you, your queen exhales. A second serpent appears in her vision, smaller green-blue, spiraled like a vine. From its coils her mother emerges, holding a small bundle, a child, a message perhaps, or a promise, or a warning. The priests begin to chant again. But the words are far away. You are no longer sitting in a temple. You are floating above it, through the smoke, through the stars. Time stutters. You are a child again, then a king, then a boy, watching stars from a stone bench. Then a man, bleeding into flame. You are not one thing anymore. You are many. The serpent coils around your vision, not threatening, not comforting, just present, like time, like blood. Then it fades, not like a flame, like a dream. You open your eyes, the fire has dimmed, the paper is gone. Ash swirls in the air, lazy and glowing. Your queen still sits beside you, eyes half-closed, mouth relaxed. The priests kneel. One speaks softly, the gods have answered. You nod. But the truth is, you already knew. You felt it, you saw it, and now it will live in you. The vision serpent wasn't just a symbol. It was a key. To bleed was to unlock the world. To burn the offering was to open the door. And once opened, what passed through could never be unseen. Some kings feared the serpent, its truths too sharp, its faces too familiar. But the strong welcomed it. They asked questions with their pain. They waited for answers in smoke, and the serpent always replied, though not always kindly. You walk from the chamber slowly. The night is deep, but your footsteps feel lighter. You look up at the stars. One of them winks. You wonder, was it always there, or did something follow you out of the smoke? You may never know. But tonight you are more than king. You are witness. The serpent may vanish, but its vision lingers, in dreams, in decisions, in the breath between heartbeats. You lie down to rest. The mats are cool. The air smells of burnt cedar and dust. You close your eyes. Behind your lids, smoke coils, a flicker of light, a memory of a face. You breathe in slowly, and somewhere the serpent waits. Section 7. The Royal Observatory. You step carefully over moss-covered stones. The air smells of orchids and rain. Bird calls echo through the trees, but even they seem quieter here. The path is narrow, almost secret. It winds behind the temple, beneath hanging vines and ancient roots. Few people come this way. This is not a place of worship, not a throne room, not a battlefield. This is where kings go to think. This is the observatory. It doesn't look like much, just a low stone tower with a hole carved in the top. There's no gold, no guards, no grand staircase. Just quiet and sky. You remove your sandals before entering. The floor is smooth, worn by centuries of feet, both royal and priestly. A single shaft of sunlight cuts through the roof, illuminating a spot on the floor marked with glyphs and lines. The light moves slowly across it, marking time as it always has. The Maya did not build observatories to look at the stars. They built them to listen. You sit in the center of the room. It's cooler here. The thick walls hold night, even during day. The walls are carved with symbols, serpents, moon's dots, and bars jaguars leaping between constellations. You recognize some. They're dates, moments, events that haven't happened yet, but will. Because the sky doesn't just tell the past, it predicts. The ceiling above has small openings carefully placed. Each one is aligned to something specific. The sunrise on the first day of the new year. The appearance of Venus just before dawn. The full moon during the month of war. Nothing is random. Everything is placed just so. You sit quietly and wait. A whisper of wind moves through the stones. Dust shifts. A bird calls, once, then stops, and then light. Through the eastern slit, a ray of sun lands directly on a carved glyph. The priests nod. Exactly as expected. This is how Maya kings knew when to act. Not by impulse, but by alignment. When the stars spoke, they listened. When the sky opened, they moved. You look to your side. A small stone table holds a folded codex, pages black with glyphs. Each line a prediction, a memory, a warning. One page shows the current cycle of Venus. You trace it with your finger. She will vanish in 7 days and return in 80. And when she returns, war. It always begins that way. Not because people crave it, but because the stars demand it. You think of your army, your council, your rivals, and you wait for the sky to confirm what you already feel in your blood. Soon. The observatory is not just for kings. Astronomer priests come here too. Some stay for weeks, sleeping on mats, eating only maize and honey. They rise at dusk. They pray before stars. They record movements by the flicker of candlelight. To outsiders, they seem strange. But to the king, they are essential. They see the sky, not with awe, but with memory. And they remember every eclipse, every solstice, every night Venus turned her back. You ask one of them, "What will the stars say this year?" He shrugs gently, his voice soft. They will say what they always say. Remember. Watch. Wait. You leave the observatory slowly. The sun is higher now. Birds sing louder. The jungle reawakens. But something has changed. Not out here. In you. You know something now. Or maybe you remembered something. Something about time, about light, about listening. As king, you must speak often. But here in this quiet room of stone and shadow, you learn how to be still. And the sky thanks you for it. That night, you lie in your chamber. No fire, no words, only stars beyond the window. Venus is still watching. She will vanish soon, and with her peace, but not yet. For now, you have time. And time is a gift too. You close your eyes. You see the ceiling slit, the sunbeam falling on the glyph. The priest's quiet nod, the silence that meant yes. And you understand, power does not come from knowing. It comes from waiting for the right moment to act. The observatory taught you that, and the sky will teach you more, if you keep watching. Section 8. Venus, the Star of War. You wake before dawn, not because you meant to, but because something tugged at your sleep, a brightness behind your eyelids, a hush in the trees outside your chamber. You rise, step onto the cool stone, and walk barefoot to the edge of the palace roof. The sky is deep, navy, not quite night, not yet day. And there, just above the horizon, Venus, bright, unblinking, too steady to be a star, too close to ignore. She has returned. The Maya called her Chak-Ek, the great star. To others, she was No-Ek, the chief of lights. But most often, she was the warlord star. Because whenever she rose in the pre-dawn sky, something soon bled. You stand still watching her. Her light is soft, almost silver, but it doesn't soothe you, because you know what comes next. The calendar priests warned you weeks ago, she will reappear on 8 Kaan, a day of fire and conflict. The last time she did, Yaxchilan fell. The time before that, a drought turned the rivers to stone. You didn't want to believe them, but you remembered the codex. You remembered the glyphs. You remembered the rhythm. And now, here she is, right on time. Venus doesn't just show up. She arrives with purpose. Her cycle is exact 584 days from one appearance to the next. She vanishes behind the sun, then reemerges like a ghost. Each phase marks something rising, setting, vanishing, returning. And every return is a signal. To act, to avenge, to strike. You descend the stairs. The stone is cold under your feet. In the courtyard below, your captains are already waiting. They saw her too. No one speaks. They don't have to. You nod once. They bow. War is not romantic here. It is not parades or banners or horns. It is ritual, duty, a mirror of the stars. To fight when Venus rises is not optional. It is ordained. To delay would be to disrespect the sky. To ignore would invite famine, fire, silence. So you prepare. The warriors paint their faces with black and red, the colors of ash and blood. Their hair is tied high, wrapped in feathers. Their obsidian blades are sharpened, kissed with oil and prayer. They carry shields painted with the glyph of Venus. Because if she calls for war, they must carry her name into it. You walk among them, not as a distant ruler, but as a living offering. Because Maya kings did not sit on thrones while others died. They led charges. They took captives. They bled first. You pass a boy, maybe 15. He avoids your gaze, jaw tight. Your first time you ask softly. He nods. You place a hand on his shoulder. It's not bravery if you don't feel afraid. He doesn't smile, but his shoulders square. That's enough. The next morning you march, not to conquer, but to align. Every movement is timed. The first arrow is loosed when the sun strikes the temple of masks. The first blade is drawn when the drums match the priest's heartbeat. The first cry rises when Venus disappears into the morning light, her blessing complete. The battle is short. It was never meant to be long. A show, a message, a rhythm fulfilled. You capture prisoners, you mark the ground with red, you raise a banner, and then you stop. Because Venus asked for war, not destruction. And the gods prefer blood in measured drops. That night you return to the observatory, not as king, just as a watcher. You kneel where the sunlight once touched the stone. Now it is moonlight. And Venus is gone. She has turned her face once more. The priests say she will not rise again for months, but her work is done. The world has been shaken. The calendar has turned. Balance has been restored. You feel no glory, only stillness. Because war here is not triumph. It is obedience. You did not choose this moment. It chose you. You press your fingers to the stone. It's still warm from the day's sun, or perhaps from memory. You whisper a name, maybe the name of someone lost. Maybe the name of a city, a star, a god. The stone listens, the sky listens. And then you rise. Outside, the jungle sings again. Crickets, frogs whine in the leaves. You walk back to your chamber. Wash the paint from your face. Close your eyes. And in the darkness behind your eyelids, a silver dot lingers, just for a moment. Just long enough to say, you heard me, you acted, and that is enough. For now. Section 9. The Queen's Offering. The sky darkens at midday. At first, it feels like a cloud, then like something heavier. The birds go quiet, the wind pauses, and even the insects seem to hold their breath. You look up. The sun is a thin, white ring swallowed by shadow. It is the eclipse. And the Queen is ready. In Maya belief, eclipses were not just celestial events. They were moments of opening, of danger, of deep attention. The gods, it was said, drew closer during eclipses, listening more carefully, judging more sharply. And so, only the most sacred blood could be offered. Not from a priest, not from a soldier, from the Queen. You sit on a low stone bench near the ritual court. The palace is silent. Even the trees seem to have withdrawn. The air is thick with incense, copal resin, sweet smoke curling like ribbon. She steps forward slowly, her robes heavy with jade. Her face is painted in white, a symbol of moonlight. Her hair is braided with obsidian and bone. She carries no weapons, only a folded cloth and a stingray spine. No one speaks. This is not a performance. This is a vow. She kneels beside the fire. Priests surround her, not to help, but to witness. She unwraps the cloth. The spine glints. She does not hesitate. The cut is slow. Not on her arm, not on her leg, but across the tongue, the gateway of speech, the doorway between thought and sound. Her blood wells quickly, dark and warm. She catches it in a shallow bowl of bark paper, folded like a flower. The crowd watches, not in shock, in reverence, because this is rare, sacred. A queen offering herself is a message not just to the gods, but to the people. The blood is burned. Smoke rises thick and slow, and in that smoke, a shimmer, a shape, a vision. Some say the queen saw her unborn daughter dressed in feathers walking among stars. Others say she saw a serpent, curling through darkness, whispering secrets about the next turning of the calendar. No one knows for sure, but something changed. Her hands trembled, her eyes filled, and she bowed her head. Later, the eclipse passed, the light returned. The birds sang again, but the people remembered the stillness, the shadow, the blood, and they remembered the queen. In Maya society, queens were not merely ornaments. They were oracles, intercessors, bearers of sacred lines. Their blood carried prophecy. Their pain was language. That evening the queen was carried back to her chamber. Her lips were swollen, her eyes closed, but her presence, calm, radiant, otherworldly, remained. For days afterward, the priests studied the ashes. They traced patterns in the smoke trails left on the ritual stones. One line curled like a spiral. Another forked like a tree. A third resembled the glyph for change. A message, perhaps, or simply the breath of the gods. In the years to come, the queen's offering would be remembered. Songs were composed, carvings made, a stela raised in her name. It showed her kneeling beneath a black sun, a serpent rising from the smoke, her mouth open in silence. Not screaming, not praying, listening. And now, as you sit in your own quiet space, light dim curtains drawn, you can almost feel it. That ancient hush, that reverent stillness. A moment when everything waits, when the world holds its breath, when pain becomes prayer. You close your eyes. Behind your lids, the sun dims, the queen kneels, and the gods are watching. You do not need to bleed. You do not need to speak. You only need to listen. Because some offerings are not meant to change the world, only to remind it that someone still cares. Section 10. Blood scrolls and bark books. The doorway is low, carved from limestone, half covered in vines. You duck beneath it, torch in hand, and step into the silence. It's cool here, dry. The air smells like ash salt and old leaves. This is no ordinary room. This is the library. Not the kind with shelves, not the kind with whispers and dust and ink. This is older, darker, carved into the heart of the temple, a chamber few ever enter. Here the Maya stored something more precious than gold, more powerful than jade. Memory. Laid on flat stone tables are books, but not like yours. These are codices made of bark, strips of fig tree paper coated in white lime, folded like fans, soft as leather, fragile as breath. Each page is drawn by hand with brushes made from hair and ink brewed from soot blood and crushed insects. Yes, blood. The ink is alive. The glyphs swirl and leap. Some resemble eyes, others flames, snakes, hands, spirals. To you they are puzzles. To the scribes they were voices. Each book was a calendar, a spell, a prophecy, and each one bled a little. The room is guarded not by soldiers, but by silence. You walk slowly. Torches flicker on the walls, casting light over the faces of ancient kings, each painted again and again across time. Some hold scepters, some hold blades, some hold paper, because writing here was not a hobby. It was devotion. You reach the center of the chamber. A single codex rests on an obsidian altar. Its cover is stained, its pages stiff, but its symbols are bright, as if they were painted yesterday. You reach out, but hesitate, because this one is not just a book. It is a record of offerings, of every bloodletting made beneath a certain constellation, of every eclipse met with a king's pain, of every queen's cut, every prisoner's scream, written in red and black. The priests say the ink remembers, that if you read too long you'll see it. Not just the words, the moments, feel the cuts, smell the incense, taste the copper. Some scribes went blind, others went quiet. One never left the chamber again. But still, they wrote. Because someone had to remember. You turn a page. A serpent coils down the margin. Its eyes are stars, its tongue a calendar. Next to it, a date. Next to the date, a name. It's yours. You blink, then look again. Yes, it's your name, written in glyphs you recognize from the temple wall, next to a symbol for blood, and another for soon. You close the book gently. Step back. This is not fear. It's reverence. Because in this place, you are not a king. You are not even a man. You are ink waiting to dry. Some codices were burned. When the conquerors came, they feared what they couldn't read. Only 4 survived. The rest, ash smoke silence. But deep below the temples, some still remain, hidden, waiting. The scribes wrote more than names. They drew the sky. They mapped Venus, not just where it moved, but how it made people feel. Angry, sad, inspired. They recorded dreams and visions, and the way blood curled on bark in winter. It wasn't science. It wasn't magic. It was something in between. You sit for a moment beside a codex. You don't open it. You just listen. And in that stillness, you hear it. Not a voice, not a warning, just a rhythm. Drip, 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 ink, memory, time. When you leave the chamber, the light outside feels too bright, the world too loud. But something follows you, a weight, a story, a knowledge that you too will someday be written down. Maybe not in bark, maybe not in blood, but somewhere. And someone will read your name and wonder who you were. Until then, you keep walking, and the codices keep waiting, in the dark, in the quiet, in the heart of the temple, where memory still breathes. You will return, but only when the stars ask you to. Section 11. Dreams Under the Pyramid. It's nearly midnight, the fire has burned low, and the air beneath the pyramid is heavy, not with smoke, but with silence. You lie on a stone platform, arms folded across your chest. Above you, layers of limestone hidden passageways. And history too thick to measure. Around you, nothing, just flickering torchlight. A bowl of smoldering copal and a single drumbeat, fading into stillness. This is the sleep of kings, not in feathered beds or perfumed chambers, but here, beneath the heart of the city, in the womb of stone where dreams are not just dreams. The Maya believed that pyramids were not monuments. They were mountains, sacred replicas of the first peak that rose from the sea at the beginning of time. To sleep beneath one was to return to the beginning, to curl up inside the bones of creation, to touch the threshold between earth and sky. And the underworld below you shift. The stone is cold against your back, but you do not shiver. You are wrapped in woven cotton, painted with glyphs for protection, and breath beside you. A priest mutters softly, a lullaby. A warning, a map. He leaves, the door shuts. You are alone now. Except, of course, you're not. The dream begins slowly. A serpent made of smoke slithers through your mind. Its body hums with stars. Its eyes are moons. It wraps itself around your thoughts, tightening, until they scatter like birds. Then, a voice, low, familiar. Like your father's, but not quite. It says your name, not the one the scribes write. The real one, the one carved in bone and hidden in your first breath. You sit up, but not in the chamber. In the dream, you are in a forest of stone. Temple walls rise like cliffs on every side. The stars are so close you feel you could reach out and knock one loose. Figures move between shadows. Some you recognize, ancestors. Long dead, others wear masks you don't know yet, but they nod as you pass. They clear a path. They whisper stories in a language you forgot you knew. In the center of the forest is a fire. Around it sit kings, hundreds, maybe thousands. Their skin glows with the dust of crushed jade. Their robes shimmer with the color of wet leaves. One rises. He has your eyes. He offers you a bowl. Inside, not food, not water, but light liquid, shimmering, singing. You drink and the stars shift. You wake not fully, but partway. The torch is still burning, the stone still cold, but the dream clings to you like dew, like smoke. And you remember what the fire said. Or did it sing, or was it just your own heartbeat trying to tell you something true? This was not a vision, not a message from the gods. This was a memory. From before you were born, from before your name was carved, from the night when stars and blood first met in the Maya world. Kings slept to travel, not to rest. They slipped through cracks in time, spoke to ancestors, listened to gods with ears made of wind. Some returned with prophecies, others returned with madness. But none returned unchanged. You sit up slowly. The room smells of stone, dust, and burnt sweetness. You touch your wrist. It's warm, still here, still breathing, but the fire is out, and the priest does not return. You find your way out by feel, one hand on the wall, one hand clutching the edge of the dream. When you reach the surface, the stars are gone. Clouds cover the sky. The wind stirs the trees like soft applause. And yet, you feel seen, not watched, not judged. Seen later when the scribes ask you what you dreamed. You smile and say nothing, because it cannot be told, only felt, only breathed, only carried. That night, you sleep again, this time in your own bed. But part of you is still under the pyramid, still curled in the stone, still listening. And the dream it waits, always like a serpent in the dark. Section 12. The game of life and death. You hear it before you see it. A low thud, rubber against stone. Then a cheer. Then silence. Then thud again. It's rhythmic, like a heartbeat. Like a drum, you follow the sound through a narrow corridor and step into the light. You're standing at the edge of the ball court, massive, shadowed, sacred. The court is flanked by high stone walls, each side carved with scenes. Warriors captives, and players mid-leap, mid-fall, mid-sacrifice. This is not a sport. This is a ceremony. The game is called Pak to Pak, and it's older than kings. 2 teams, 1 rubber ball. No hands, no feet, just hips. Elbows, chests. The goal. A stone ring high on the wall. Too small, too high, but not impossible. You sit in the shaded royal platform, your robe folded, your crown set aside. You watch because today's match is no entertainment. It is offering. The players are marked with paint, white for clarity, red for blood, black for the underworld. Their belts are padded, their limbs wrapped, not to soften the pain, but to channel it. They bow before the game, not to you, but to the gods. Then the ball is tossed, and the ritual begins. It's fast, brutal, beautiful. The ball bounces off hips, ricochets off walls, rolls through dust. Each contact echoes like thunder. You watch closely, not for points, but for signs. Was that a falcon overhead? Did the ball bounce twice on a solar glyph? Did a shadow fall across the north ring at the exact moment of impact? The gods speak through patterns. Not words, you must notice everything. Then it happens. A player leaps, spins midair, and strikes the ball with his hip. It arcs, curves, and slips through the ring. Perfect. The crowd gasps, then quiets, because now a decision must be made. In modern stories, they say, the winner was sacrificed. In others, the loser. But the truth is not fixed. It depended on the day, the alignment, the calendar. Sometimes the best were honored with death. A final gift to the gods, a prize so sacred only the most skilled could earn it. Sometimes the worst were given. To carry blame to cleanse the court, today the winner steps forward. He removes his helmet, kneels in the dust, and raises his arms. His face is calm. Not afraid you rise, you walk to him slowly, carrying a jade blade wrapped in white cloth. You speak softly. Do you know what this means? He nods. I dreamed it. He says, last night the ball turned into a sun, and the ring into a mouth. You place your hand on his shoulder and whisper a prayer. Then in full view of the court, you offer him to the sky. The blood falls onto the court. The stone darkens. A priest captures it. In a bowl carries it to the altar, burns it with crushed flowers. The smoke rises, spirals into the sky. A hawk cries overhead, and then the wind returns. The crowd exhales. The game is over, but its meaning lingers. You walk the edge of the court alone. The carvings seem deeper now, more alive. You run your hand along one panel. It shows a player kneeling, a serpent rising from his neck. In its mouth, a blooming flower. This is not death. This is transformation. You return to your chamber that night. Your clothes smell of smoke and sweat and blood. You lie on your mat. Close your eyes and see the ball again, spinning, spinning, spinning through the ring, through the stars, through memory. They called it a game, but it was never just a game. It was a prayer in motion, a sacrifice in rhythm, a heartbeat turned into ritual. And tomorrow they will play again, because the gods are always watching, and the court is never truly quiet. Section 13, Sacred Smoke and Mirrors. The chamber is small, circular, enclosed by stone carved with spirals and serpent heads. The air inside is thick, still sweet with burnt resin and something older. At the center stands a basin, a shallow bowl made of obsidian, polished so smooth, so black. It looks like water, even when dry. You've been brought here alone. No priests, no scribes, no guards. Only you and the mirror. The Maya called it Tezcatl, the smoking mirror, not just a tool. A doorway, obsidian, was born of volcanoes, forged in fire, cooled in earth. It held power not just to cut, but to reveal. You kneel before it, lower your head, and breathe. The smoke rises slowly from a bowl of crushed copal and pine. It curls into your nose, your mouth, your thoughts. Your reflection shimmers, then vanishes, in the dark surface. You begin to see movement, not your face, not your eyes, but flickers of something else, a road through jungle. A woman with jaguar eyes, a battle that hasn't happened yet, a scream you haven't heard. Your heart begins to race, but your body stays still, because this is what the mirror demands: surrender. You were taught that time is not a line, but a loop. That memory runs forward as well as back, that when the gods speak, they do so through shadows, through echoes, through smoke. And the mirror is where those echoes gather. You lean closer. Now you see a city, yours, but different, crumbling, overgrown, empty, a warning, or maybe a future. You blink, and the image fades. In its place, a child running laughing, holding a feather. Made of fire. Is that someone you know or someone you will know? The mirror does not explain. It only offers. Behind you, a whisper. You turn, but no one is there. Still, the whisper lingers, low, soft, your own voice, maybe, or an ancestor's. The Maya believed the mirror was not a tool for vanity, but for truth. Kings used it before battle, before ceremony, before marriage. Not to ask what will happen, but to ask, what must I become? You ask the mirror nothing. You wait, and it shows you your face again. This time older, tired, smiling behind you in the reflection. Someone stands, but when you turn again, nothing. You rise slowly. The smoke clings to your robe, your hair, your skin. You feel changed, not fully, not loudly, but inwardly. Like something has been carved into your breath. Outside, the sun is rising. The jungle smells of wet leaves and waking birds. You step back into the light, and the world feels softer. Edges blurred, colors deeper. As if the mirror has taught you how to see not just what is, but what hides beneath. Later that night, in your private chamber, you light another bit of copal. Let the smoke drift. And in the shadows, on the eye, well, you almost see it again, that same flicker, that same road, that same question. Not who am I, but what will I choose to become? You do not answer aloud. You breathe in, breathe out, and let the smoke carry it upward, where the gods and the stars and the obsidian are still listening. Section 14. The snake on the sky. Some nights you wake and the stars are too still, too sharp, too close. You step outside and look up, and there it is, long, dark, shifting. Not a cloud, not a constellation. A serpent. The Maya called it the sky snake. A creature not of scale and fang, but of time, of story, of space. It coils across the heavens, mouth open, tail wrapped around the edge of night. Some say it is made of stars, others of dust, others of the breath of gods. You see it in the Milky Way. That long stripe across the sky. A road, a river, a body. It moves slowly. But always your grandfather told you the serpent came first, before men, before kings, before even the sun. It slithered through the void, carving time with each ripple. And wherever it passed, worlds bloomed, but also some were swallowed. The serpent is not evil, but hungry. It eats endings to make room for beginnings. That is why kings dream of it, why priests draw it on walls, why every temple stair twists like a spine. Because the snake is a reminder. You are part of something longer, older, moving. In one codex, there is an image of the serpent biting its tail. Inside the loop, a city, a king, a calendar. Outside the loop, flames, silence. This is not art, it is instruction. Stay within the pattern, and you are safe. Step outside, and you are ash. You once dreamed of the serpent, coiled around your bed, eyes glowing blue, tongue flicking in time with your pulse. It did not speak, but you understood. You must follow, not lead. The stars do not wait for rulers. Rulers wait for stars. Some nights, the serpent opens its mouth wide and swallows a star. People whisper, then they stay indoors. They light fires and sing, because they know something is being changed. And they do not want to be next. You lie awake, the serpent above you, shifting slowly across the sky. You wonder, does it remember you? Has it already passed through your name? Is your life a loop inside its body? or a single scale you do not know, but you feel it. A tug behind your thoughts, a rhythm in your veins, as if the snake coils not only above you, but within you. The Maya saw the serpent in everything. In rivers, in smoke, in dreams, even in blood, especially in blood, because blood moves the way serpents do. Soft winding, unstoppable. On the temple wall, you see a carving of a king standing beneath the sky. Snake, his arms are raised, not in fear but welcome. The caption says, he walks the spine, meaning he follows the flow. He does not resist, he trusts the pattern. Even if he does not understand it, you touch the carving. Close your eyes and whisper the words, I will walk the spine. The wind shifts, the night deepens, the stars blink slowly. The snake continues. You return to your bed, but the shape of it stays in your mind. A curve, a pulse, a road made not of stone, but of story, and you follow it into sleep. Section 15. Temples of Alignment. You wake before the sun, not because someone called you, but because the light is coming, and the temple must be ready. You dress in silence, robes, white feet, bare heart, quiet, outside. The world is gray. Still the jungle doesn't speak yet. Even the birds are waiting. You begin the climb, the steps are steep, worn smooth by centuries, carved with glyphs of stars and serpents. You count each one without thinking. They are always the same, 91 on each side. 4 sides, and one final step at the top. 365. Like the days in a year. At the summit, you wait. The priests have prepared the altar, polished the jade stones, cleared the air with copal smoke. No one speaks, because this is not a performance. It is a moment, and it must happen exactly, perfectly. Now, the Maya did not build temples for shelter. They built them for alignment, each one placed not for convenience, but for time. This temple faces east. Its stairway points directly toward the rising sun on the equinox. Twice a year, the light cuts through its heart. A beam so sharp, so exact it touches the back wall like a finger from the sky. Today is that day. The horizon glows pink gold, then white, and then the sun breaks. Its light travels like memory, straight, unbending, unapologetic. It passes between 2 pillars, through the narrow window, down the central corridor, and lands right there on a single glyph chiseled long before your name was spoken. The priests bow, the people watching from below exhale. Some weep, some whisper thanks, because the light has come. Exactly as promised. You stand still, letting the beam wash over your hands, your chest, your face. For a moment, you are not a king. You are part of a mechanism, a gear in a sacred clock, turning precisely, silently, elsewhere. In other cities, other temples do the same. At Chichen Itza, a shadow serpent descends the stairs, its body made of angles, each triangle a scale, each moment calculated to match the sun's slide. No one carved it by accident. No one guessed. They measured the sky, watched the stars, listened to time itself, and then built stone around light. You walk slowly through the corridor, following the sunbeam. It moves with you, or maybe you with it. On the far wall, another glyph waits. It marks today, this alignment, this turning point. Tomorrow, the light will miss it, just slightly. Only today is perfect. You place your hand on the stone. It is warm, alive with meaning, silent with memory. You close your eyes, and for a second, you feel it, the whole temple breathing, the stone humming, the calendar turning beneath your feet. Later, you will descend, the light will fade, the people will return to their tasks. But for now, this is the center of the world. And you are exactly where you're meant to be. The Maya believed that to build well was to honor the gods, to align stone with sky, mind with moon, intention with orbit. Temples were not just houses. They were maps, keys, echo chambers. You say nothing, but the gods hear you anyway. You leave an offering, a small jade bead, a folded piece of bark, a single feather. It is enough because the light saw you. And tomorrow it will move on, but today it stopped just for you. You descend the stairs slowly, counting again. 1 step, 2, 3. each one a reminder that time is not just something you follow. Sometimes it follows you. Section 16. The voice of the cenote. You follow the priest at dawn, through mist and moss past the last rows of corn. Down a narrow path lined with stones, he says nothing. And neither do you. The birds are still, the wind is gone. Even your own footsteps feel muffled, as if the earth is listening ahead. A clearing. And in the center of it, a circle of blue, still bottomless, perfect, the cenote. To most it's just a pool, a sinkhole carved by time, but to the Maya, it was a doorway, a mouth in the world where gods might speak, or spirits might listen. And today, you've come to offer it something. You step to the edge. The rock beneath you is slick, worn smooth by centuries of hands. Knees. Tears you kneel and look down. The water is darker than obsidian. But in it, you see your own reflection shimmering, shifting, moving, even when you don't. The priest begins to chant, low, repetitive, like water, dripping into stone. You hold the offering in your palm, a carved jade bead shaped like an eye, painted with blood, not yours, but sacred. You lean forward, whisper a name not yours, but the one you were given in dreams, and you drop the bead. It falls, tumbles, vanishes. There is no splash. Only a soft sound like breath being taken in. They say the cenote speaks, not in words, but in echoes, in visions, in feelings that rise from the stomach rather than fall from the sky. You close your eyes and wait. In your mind, the water ripples outward, becoming pathways, becoming arms, becoming voices. One calls to you not with questions, but with memory. You see a woman holding corn, a child laughing in the rain, a king kneeling beside a fire. None are you, but all are yours, bloodline thread. You open your eyes, the water is still. But something has changed, inside you. A quiet click, a closing. A message delivered and received. Some offerings are grand flames, feasts, sacrifice, but others are small. A whisper, a bead, a tear. The cenote asks only that you be honest, and that you listen. The priest dips a bowl into the water, raises it high, lets it pour back, slow and clear. He nods. The gods are pleased, or at least not angry, and that is enough. You rise, your knees aching from the stone, your hands cold from the mist. But your chest is warm, as if someone said your name and meant it. As you walk back, the jungle begins to wake. Birds call softly. Leaves move in slow applause. The world feels thinner, like you're walking just beside it rather than through it. Day later in the temple, you will tell no one what you felt, not because it was secret, but because it cannot be explained. Only remembered like a dream that stays in the bones. Long after it leaves the mind, that night, you lie still, and in your sleep you hear water not lapping, not rushing, just falling endlessly. And a voice inside it, not saying yes, not saying no, just reminding you that it's still there, waiting, listening, reflecting. Section 17. When stars refused to move, you knew something was wrong before anyone said it. The birds flew in strange patterns, the dogs would not sleep, the wind came from the wrong direction, and the stars did not rise. At first, it was just Venus. She should have returned weeks ago. But the sky stayed empty, then Mars, then the Pleiades, every night. You climbed the steps of the observatory. Every night you waited. Every night the sky answered with silence. The priest checked the codices. Again and again and again. No eclipses expected. No cloud cover recorded. No glyphs that warned of blindness. Just nothing. A blank pause. People whispered in the markets, in the fields, in the courts. Maybe the gods had turned away. Maybe someone had forgotten an offering. Maybe time had stopped. You asked the calendar keepers, "Is it broken?" They shook their heads. The numbers still turned. The glyphs still matched. But something deeper had gone still. Like a drum that echoes but no longer beats. You fasted. You bathed in cold rivers. You offered feathers and fruit and fire, but still no light in the east, no signal in the dark. Only stars that refused to rise, and with them your breath began to slow. Then came the drought. The maize grew thin. The rivers ran shallow. The fish turned belly up in the cenotes. People began to leave food, At crossroads, to light candles in the mouths of caves, to whisper old names into tree roots. They were not praying, they were pleading. One morning you stood on the temple steps and said you would bleed, even though it was not time, even though the glyphs did not ask it, even though no star had spoken, because silence is sometimes louder than a scream. You climbed the altar, alone, unpainted, uncrowned. You cut your palm, let the blood fall directly on the stone, no bark paper, no fire, just stone and silence. And the sky did not answer, not with thunder, not with light, not even with wind. That night, you dreamt of a room with no doors, a codex with blank pages, a serpent sleeping in a circle. Its eyes shut its breath slow. You asked, "Will you wake?" It did not move. Some said the world was ending. But the Maya did not fear endings. They feared forgetting. They feared a cycle closing, with no hand to open the next. A door sealed, a light unlit, a question left waiting weeks. Passed. The priests stopped speaking in full sentences. The calendar scribes kept writing, but their hands shook. Even the children grew quiet. They stopped drawing stars in the dirt. And then, one evening you stepped outside, and there it was, Venus, low, bright, unblinking. As if she had never left, you did not cheer. You did not cry. You simply knelt and touched your forehead to the earth and whispered, "I remember the next day." The winds shifted. The rains came, not a flood, but enough. The fish returned. The market sang. The dogs slept deeply in the sun. No one said what had happened, but everyone acted as if something had said. And you walked slowly, watched the horizon, not with fear, but with care. Because now you knew even the stars can go quiet. And when they do, it is not a punishment. It is a question. Are you still listening? Section 18. The Dying Calendar. The ink is nearly gone. The brushes are worn. The bark paper is brittle with age, but still, they write. Each morning, before the sun rises. Before the birds speak, the last calendar keepers sit on the floor of a quiet room. And they continue. They mark the days. They count the cycles. They trace the names of moons that no longer matter. They are not young. Their backs ache. Their fingers tremble. Their eyes squint in the candlelight. But they do not stop. Outside, the temples crumble. The gardens grow wild. The markets are empty. The scribes have not been paid in seasons. No kings remain. No nobles to correct their glyphs. No court to request predictions. But still they write, because the calendar must not end. They do not know who will read it, or if anyone will, but they know this, time is sacred, and memory must be fed. Even if the world forgets, one scribe, oldest of them all, whispers to his page, as he works. He speaks each number aloud, each day's sign, each katun and baktun. He says it not for himself, but for the stones, for the dust, for the gods who might still be. Listening. Another scribe writes poems in the margins, small verses about stars and maize and sleep. He does not sign them. He does not read them aloud. They are not meant to be heard. Only found someday? Maybe when the jungle has cleared, and someone brushes dirt from a page. One night, rain pours through the broken roof, soaks half a codex, the ink runs, the pages blur. They hang it to dry gently, quietly. The next morning, they begin again. They do not argue. They do not complain. They do not weep. They only write because that is what scribes do. In one corner of the room, a child sleeps, the scribe's grandchild, too young to read, too curious not to watch. He asks, "Why do you write? If the world is ending?" The old man smiles, because the world does not end. It only turns. And someone must record the turning. The days grow shorter. The stars move differently. The sky feels colder. But the calendar continues. They invent new signs for storms, for silence, for the color of grief. They mark them carefully, as if the gods are still scoring their work. One day a stranger arrives, dusty thin, silent. He does not speak their language, but he sees the codices and points to them, then to the sky. The scribes nod and hand him a brush. He does not know the glyphs, but he draws, and the calendar makes room. Soon there are only 2 scribes left. Then one he lights a candle, lays out a final page, and writes the date. Not because it is special, but because it is today. That is reason enough. He folds the book, wraps it in cloth, hides it in a jar, places it beneath a stone, and whispers for whoever wakes next. Then he sits by the window and watches the trees breathe, the stars rise, and the world turn. The calendar is quiet now, but not gone, somewhere beneath root and ruin. A page waits, a name sleeps, a memory hums, and one day someone will open it. Feel the ink beneath their fingers. Read the glyph for morning and know they were not the first to. Listen to time and the calendar. We'll begin again, section 19. The last vision. He wakes before the light, not because someone calls, not because duty waits, but because today he knows it is time. The city is quiet. Most temples lie in ruin. The market no longer rings with voices. Only wind moves through the plaza now. But the chamber of smoke and mirrors still stands, and he still remembers the way he does not wear a crown. Only a simple robe stitched with the glyph of his name, and the glyph for goodbye. His hands shake, but his steps are steady. He walks alone inside the chamber. The fire is already lit, the incense already burning, the mirror already clean. As if it has been waiting, he kneels slowly, winces, breathes, then reaches for the blade, not the ceremonial one, not polished or gold. Just a shard of obsidian. Dark honest. He draws it across his skin. The familiar sting. The slow warmth. He lets the blood fall, drop by drop, into the bowl of smoke. The room shifts, the shadows breathe, the walls sigh, and the mirror begins to blur. He sees first a child, barefoot, laughing beneath a tree, then a warrior painted, crowned afraid, then a father, a husband, a ruler, then smoke, and then a face familiar. Not his, but part of him, his mother. She smiles, but says nothing, behind her. A long line of faces, generations folded like pages, each one nods, each one waits. He leans closer, the mirror shows him more. A path through water, a serpent of light, a city made of stars, and then darkness, not empty, but full. A quiet that holds him, not with fear, but with welcome. He lowers his hands, closes his eyes, and listens, not with ears, but with memory. He hears the calendar turning, the earth breathing, the gods murmuring old stories into the roots of trees. And in their stories he finds himself, not as a king, not as a name, but as a moment. He opens his eyes one last time and whispers, "Thank you." He does not rise, he does not fall, he simply becomes still. The priests will find him. Later, smiling hand, resting on the bowl, blood dried in a perfect ring. They will light candles, sing the old songs, mark the day. But they will not weep, because he saw what he came to see. And now he walks with the others. Somewhere beyond the stars, the serpent opens its coils, and a new step is added to the path. The last vision was not of death, but of returning. Section 20. The bloodline in the sky. Night falls without ceremony. The last fires are out, the last drums are silent, the last voices have quieted. But above it all, the stars remain bright, cold, endlessly watching. You lie on the grass, the stones are behind you, the ruins are crumbling, but the sky is untouched. You look up, and the sky looks back. They are gone, the kings, the scribes, the builders, the bloodletters. But their names, their numbers, their questions, still shimmer above you. You trace a line from one star to the next. A snake, a canoe, a jaguar. With burning eyes, you whisper their names as if speaking them keeps them alive, and maybe it does. The Maya mapped the heavens, not with telescopes, but with memory. They gave the stars names, stories, roles. Not because they wanted to own them, but because they wanted to understand them, to live beside them. Not beneath Venus, still rises. The moon still follows her path. The constellations still crawl across the sky like old gods stretching in sleep, and some of those gods still carry Maya names: Chak, Ek, Noek, Zip, Chan, Sisib, each one. A whisper from the past, still glowing. You wonder what it must have felt like to look up and see your own calendar written in the sky, to know that time was not ticking away, but circling back, to know that even in forgetting, The stars would still remember. Some say the Maya vanished, but that's not true. They changed, they moved, they endured, and the sky still holds their breath. You breathe in deeply. Let the air fill your chest. Let the starlight rest against your skin. You are not ancient, not royal, not chosen, but tonight you remember, and in remembering you become part of it. A single shooting star crosses the sky. Slow, deliberate, soft as a sigh you smile. Somewhere a scribe is adding your name to the next page. Somewhere a priest lights a candle in your direction. You will never know for sure. But the stars, they know, and when you sleep, you carry their stories with you, wrapped in feathers, painted in red, etched into bone, not forgotten, only waiting. The bloodline is not in your veins, but in your memory. And memory is the longest sky of all. You close your eyes, the earth cool beneath you, the stars above still singing. And for the first time in a long time, everything feels aligned. You are not lost, you are not late, you are exactly where they left you. And the story keeps turning. You made it through temples and smoke, through silence and sacrifice, through calendars and stars, and blood. And now the sky is still, the voices have quieted, the mirrors have cooled, and the last page has been turned, but something lingers. Not heavy, not loud, just a gentle hum beneath your breath, a memory, a name, a light from long ago. The Maya knew something we forget, that time isn't a race. It's a rhythm, that dreams matter, even if no one writes them down, and that sometimes, to understand the world, you have to sit in silence and watch the stars do nothing at all. So tonight, let go of the crowns, the altars, the serpents, and the sorrow. You are not a king. Now you are not a scribe. You are a sleeper wrapped in sky. Let the stories drift like smoke. Let your thoughts soften like bark, paper and rain. Let your breath match the stars, slow, steady, sacred. And when sleep takes you, may it carry you gently, past pyramids and ponds, through soft jungle paths, and back into your own heartbeat, where your name is still waiting. Good night. My friend, may your dreams be filled with starlight, and tomorrow may you wake up with a little more wonder than today. We'll meet again soon, in another world, another time, another slow story. Until then, rest well.